So I think I have told you what is infrastructure as a service in last class also. It is a type of cloud service model where the provider rents you the fundamental building blocks of computing. Okay, that means they rent you the virtual machine, storage, networking device, firewalls, each and everything over the internet, and that are they are built by the usage. Okay, built. I am saying about the money. Okay, how much whatever you will use, for that you have to pay. Okay, so I think there is no need to go into the introduction about IaaC. Okay, we'll simply IAC, not C, it's S, है ना? We'll simply see the comparison table first. Okay, comparison table. Okay, so comparison is basically what I'm going to tell you is that comparison between the traditional architecture, between in infrastructure as a service, between platform as a service, and the software as a service. Okay, and basically what I am going to tell you in this comparison table, that what features or what things will be managed by client or managed by the user, and what features or what things can be managed by the cloud provider. Okay, so we'll see in that. Traditional, DITIONL, traditional architecture. Okay, now here infrastructure as a service, then we will have platform as a service, and here software as a service. Okay, see, in traditional architecture, as we have seen, that each and everything is managed by the user only. Okay, because he will buy the things, he will buy the servers, physical servers, application, OS, each and everything will be managed by the client, na, who will purchase them. So what are the things? Data and configuration will be handled by user. Configuration. Then the next thing will be application code. Whatever application code is aware you are using, each and everything will be handled by you only. Application code. Okay, the next thing is scaling. Scaling means if you want to expand your business, if you want to shrink your business based on your profit and loss. Okay, so you can do it. That will also be managed by you only. Okay, then the runtime environment. Okay, whatever the runtime environment will be, that will also be managed by you only. Then we have OS. Whatever OS you are using, that will also be managed by you. Then virtualization. The next thing is hardware. Okay, so these things I have listed, these all will be managed by whom? Managed by the person who is going to purchase these things. Okay, this means simply here I am showing the responsibility. Okay, the cloud provider is responsible, or either the client is responsible who is purchasing these uh, services. Okay, so all these
Okay, ma'am.
things will be managed by the client who is purchasing these servers, hardwares, each and everything. Now let's move to this IaaS. In the infrastructure as a service, we have seen the most of the control was under the client only. Okay, some of the things were managed by the cloud provider, just like the data configuration will be managed by same client, application code will be of client, they will manage, scaling will be managed by IS will be managed by you only. Okay, you means simply who will purchase. Okay, and the runtime environment will also be managed by the same. Then OS will also be managed by the person. Okay, only the virtualization and hardware will be managed by the cloud provider here. Just like, let's say you have purchased the hardware and virtualization, okay, from AWS under this IaaS service. Okay, so you are responsible for all of these things, either data configuration management, application code management, scaling, runtime environment, or about OS. Each and everything is responsibility of your. Okay, but cloud provider is only responsible for the virtualization and hardware. Okay, so here we can say these two things are, and other all these things is done by the client only. Okay, the next thing is in platform as a management. In platform as a management, we have seen that OS or runtime management, because they are providing you platform, so you don't need to manage the runtime environment and OS. Okay, you only have to manage your application code, some data configuration and scaling. Okay, so here data management, application code and scaling will be managed by the client only. But the runtime environment, OS, virtualization and hardware, the responsibility of these four things are under the cloud provider. Okay, cloud provider will take the responsibility of managing all these four things here. Okay, you just have to take care about the application code, data configuration and scaling. Okay, now we'll come to software as a service. In software as a service, what happened? You have to just take care of data and configuration. You are only responsible for your data and its configuration. Okay, application, its scaling, its runtime environment, OS, virtualization and hardware, all these things are managed by the cloud provider only. Okay, so whatever I have colored under the blue, this means these all things are managed by the cloud provider, and this orange or light color is managed by the client. Okay, whoever will purchase this. Okay, is this clear? As you are seeing, we are going from infrastructure to platform as a service. The responsibility of cloud provider is increasing, but the responsibility of user who is using this service is decreased. Yes, in a software as a service, you can see each and everything is managed by the cloud provider, but only data and configuration is managed by the client. Okay, is this comparison clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Now come to the core architecture of infrastructure as a service. Okay. Here we'll see the there are four layers. Okay, here in the IX Cloud OS architecture we have four layers. I'll show you the diagram, but let me first tell you the architecture. Okay, then after that I'll show you the diagram also. The first layer is tools layer. अरे भैया क्या हो रहा है? The second layer and the tool layer, you can also say it's a front door. Okay, you can also name it as front door. Then the next layer we have is core layer. Core layer. Okay, that means you can say this as brain, where the actual work will happen. Okay, then we have drivers. Drivers or driver layer. Okay, we have drivers or driver layer. This you can compare with as translator. Okay, translator. Now the next thing is physical infrastructure layer. The last layer is physical infrastructure layer. Okay, and here you can compare it like a factory door. Hello. Okay, so these are four layers we have in infrastructure as a service. Okay, let me show you these four structures, four layers here. Okay, this is a physical structure, physical infrastructure layer. Okay, the very last layer, or you can say the bottom layer. Okay, then we have driver layer. Okay, there we have drivers present. Okay, this is driver layer. Then we have the core layer. Okay, then after that we have tools. Okay, so you can see under the tools we have administrative tools. Okay, so administrative tools means basically what? The dashboards, or you can say CLIs, that is used by cloud operators to manage your platform. Okay, so here you can say the user management is done, policy configuration is done. Okay, so this is the administrator tool. Then we have service manager. Service manager, basically it will handle the life cycle of your request. Okay, let's say if you have say you have said ki create and set up a new virtual machine. Okay, so in that case what will happen? It will translate that request into instructions for the core layer. Okay, what it will do, it will basically translates that instruction into that request into instruction, some set of instructions for the core layer to process it. Okay, then we have scheduler. Scheduler basically decides that where host you can say, or you can say uh, where a new workload should be placed. Okay, you can say where a new work which is coming, or a new process or new request which is coming in a queue, where it should be placed. Okay, so based on the capacity, based on the load balancing, based on the placement policy, it will decide where the player, where the host should be placed or where the request should be placed. Okay. Okay. So this is the work of scheduler. Then the next is cloud interfaces. What is cloud interface? So cloud interfaces basically means the API, SDKs or web consoles, okay, that both administrator and you can say remote cloud user will actually use that call, API call to interact with the platform. Okay. So these are some tools which is present at the front gate or you can say front door to serve your request. Okay. Is this clear? Is there any doubt in these four layers? I'm not writing each and every definition, just I am telling you verbally. Okay. Should I repeat again or I continue to the core?
Don't please.
Ma'am,
Please.
can you repeat again?
Okay. See, there are four tools you can see here. है ना? Under the tools layer, we are having administrator tool, service manager, scheduler, and cloud interfaces. Okay. So in administrator, we have dashboard and CLIs, which is used by cloud operator to manage the platform. Okay. Where the user management is done, you can say. Okay. And some capacity planning can also be done. This is administrator tool na, or dashboard where each and everything will be managed using a dashboard, using a CLI. Okay. Then we have service manager. Service manager will basically handle the life cycle of request. Okay. So I have given you example. If let's say you have invoked, you have said create a new virtual machine. Okay. So what it will do, it will basically translate your request into set of instructions for the core layer. Okay. Then next we have third, scheduler. This third is scheduler, which will decide where the request should be placed. Okay. Or new workload should be placed, you can say. Okay. The new work should load whatever it is coming in a queue, where it should be placed. Okay. Based on the capacity, based on the load balancing, based on the policies. Okay. It will decide where I have to place the workload. Okay. Where I have to place the request, where I have to send the request. Okay. So scheduler will decide that. Then we have cloud interfaces. Cloud interfaces simply means what? We have APIs. We use APIs, na? We use APIs, SDKs, and web consoles, which is equivalent. You can say it is equivalent to AWS console, or let's say you are using AWS AI CLI. So in that case, all these administrator tool, or you can say remote cloud, will use these APIs or cloud interfaces to interact with the platform. Okay. Basically, like it is like just like we have seen na, in the very starting lecture, that uh, terminal is used to interact with cell. है ना? When we were studying the cell scripting, you have seen there na, कि we are using the terminal to write our command. Okay. And that command is actually sent to whom? Send to cell interpreter. Okay. The bash scripter interpreter. Okay. So that is sent to bash. Okay. So in that way, the cloud interface is also a mediator which is actually used to interact with platform. Okay. Now it is
Hello.
clear.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, is cloud interface there? So it is compulsory that always it should be the CLI only. Can't be the GUI.
Can't be the.
GUI. It's a combination of both, or only one, only the CLI only.
No, no, it's not alone. It can be like APIs, can be web consoles also. है ना?
Okay, so GUI also there.
Yes, it can be. Okay, now it is clear. Let's move to this core layer. You can see here this core layer, as I have written, this is the brain. Okay, this is the brain of this IAS architecture. This is where you can say real orchestration logic, or you can say every request that comes through your tools layer is processed by this core layer. Okay, in this you can see there are so many things. First is information manager. The information manager will do what? It will maintain real time inventory of what resources is existing, what is their state, and what is their capacity. Okay, so it will manage, you can say it's just like a real time inventory. Okay, just like in a you have, like let's say you have shop of any shop, like let's say you have a medical shop, so you will have the record na, which medicine is present at that time or not, how much stock is there, how much you have sold, how much you have to now purchase. Okay, so each and everything you will maintain an inventory. In a similar way, this information manager will manage inventory of resources. Whatever resources is present in the cloud, it will maintain the inventory for them. Okay, then next we have accounting and auditing. Accounting and auditing means what? It will track the usage for billing purpose. Okay, it will track the usage for the billing purpose. It will log your actions and your compliances. Okay, so it will actually, you can say it will uh, track your usage, whatever the services you are using. It will keep record of that, so that after the, let's say, 1 month is completed and you have used how much services, for how many days, for how many hours you have used. Okay, they will charge you accordingly. Okay, so they will create a billing for after tracking all your uh, usage. Okay, so this is the work of accounting and auditing. The next thing is authorization and authentication. Authorization and authentication, I think the name is suggesting you what does it mean. It will verify that who is making the request, what they have allowed to do. Okay, they will basically authenticate the person, and if they are authorized for whatever request they are saying, if they are authorized for that or not. Okay, so it will authenticate and authorize also. Then the next thing is image manager. Image managers means what? It will manage OS template, or you can say virtual machine template, which is used to launch new instances. Okay, new instances simply means whenever we use this is written in this with respect of AWS instances. Okay, EC2 server. Okay, so basically whenever you create any instance in AWS, so it will manage the template to launch that new instance. Okay, we'll see when I will tell you the EC2 server. So I will tell you, whenever you launch any new server, so in that case it will manage the background template for them. Okay,
And these four services are managed by us. We
no,
have to manage all these services.
no, you don't have to manage. I am just telling you the architecture, because we are going to see what AWS, the AWS each and every services. So here, if you don't know that what is like which layer or what are the services, okay, how IES will work, infrastructure, how the whole infrastructure is working, then how can you decide that which type of service you have to purchase, and how can you decide that from AWS which services you have to use. Okay, so I'm telling you that architecture only. This is just a theoretical, you don't have to manage all these things. Okay, now next thing is VM manager. Okay, VM manager basically means it will handle your actual creation, or you can say whatever you will do on virtual machine. Okay, the creation of virtual machine, migration, resizing it, or the termination of virtual machine. Okay, each and everything will be handled by this virtual machine manager. Okay, like when you have said that create a new virtual machine, so in that case this virtual manager will come into existence and it will work for that. Okay, then next we have network manager. So it will manage each and everything related to your network, just like VPN, IP allocation, routing, isolation between tenants. Okay, so it will manage each and everything related to your virtual networks. Okay, then we have storage manager. What is this storage manager? This will basically manage your file storage, your volumes. Okay, so storage manager, if you will see the equivalent service in AWS, so here we have S3. Okay, what we have, S3 bucket we use for storing data. Okay, for network manager, if you see the equivalent service in AWS, we will have VPC. Okay, for VM and image manager, you can say we have what, we have EC2 instance. Okay, so these are basically all these things I am telling you in detail just because these are the services we are going to see. Okay, we are going to see actually this service only. Okay, because we don't want just to study the data and configuration. Na? This is you are doing. Okay, just like you are using the Google Drive. So there what you do. This is the example of Google Drive is example of what, software as a service. Okay, there you are only responsible for your data and its configuration. Whatever settings you will do for data, that will be your choice. Whatever data you want to upload, that is also your choice. Okay, so you are managing only data and its configuration only. But other thing, are you managing the application or application code behind the Google drive whatever written? Are you responsible for that? No, no. So these things are managed by the cloud provider who is providing you these service. Okay, so we are going to study what in AWS, we are going to study how we can manage the data and configuration, how we can manage application code also, how we can scale also, how we can do the runtime environment also, how we can manage OS also. Okay, virtualization and hardware also. In the Terraform you will see we will create all these things. Okay, we can create hardware also, we can create virtual machine also, each and everything. So that's why basically you can say in summary, in the whole course we will see this infrastructure as a service. Okay, that's why I am telling you this in detail. Now it is clear why we are studying. I think some of you might getting confused
Yes.
why we are studying this infrastructure.
That's fine. Okay.
Hmm. Okay, so now the next thing is we have federation manager. Okay, so this basically manage the connection to external cloud. Okay, this will basically manage the external cloud connection or multi cloud bursting. Okay, so this is basically for advanced operations or advanced things. This will manage basically the connections. Okay, so this is responsible for, you can say, the conceptual, you can say equivalent in AWS if you find. So there we have cross cloud interoperability tooling. Okay, for this manager, if you will find in AWS we have direct connect, or you can say cloud cross cloud interoperability tooling. Okay, then next come to this third layer, which is driver layer, which I have also named it as translator. As you have seen in the core layer, each and every manager is doing some work. It is responsible for some of the work. Okay. So now we are going to see this driver layer. This driver layer, we have two parts here. The first is physical infrastructure driver and second is cloud driver. Okay. So physical infrastructure driver basically means it will talk directly to the hypervisor and physical hardware controller to execute your VM creation. Okay. Or you can say network configuration or storage allocation. So it will basically, this infrastructure will directly talk to hypervisor or hardware. Okay. To control your VM or virtual machine, network configuration, or storage allocation. For all these things, it will directly talk to hardware. Okay. The next thing is cloud drivers. So cloud drivers will talk to external cloud provider, just like you can say APIs, whenever any request needs to be fulfilled from outside the local infrastructure. In that case, this cloud driver will come into picture and act. Okay. So these are the work of drivers. Now, the next we have is physical infrastructure. So, physical infrastructure means these are basically the actual servers or actually the network switches, actual storage devices, okay, where your work will execute, okay, whatever request you have performed, that will be executed here only, okay. So, we have servers, network, storage. Each and everything will be present in the physical, and every uh, work, whatever is coming from the tools from the first layer, will be executed here. Okay. If it is for storage, then it will be stored here. If it is for network configuration, then it will be changed here. If it is for some execution, then it will be executed in server. Okay. So these are actually physical infrastructure. Basically means these are the actual hardware or data center where your component where your data or whatever settings you are doing, and physical devices will be resided here. Okay. So this is the whole architecture of infrastructure as a service. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let's take an example and we'll see step by step how these will work. Okay, let's say I am taking an example. Let's say I am saying create and set up a virtual machine. That means, in short, we'll write a VM. So it is ready to use. Okay. This is the request I have made. Okay. So now the very first step will be what? Firstly, here the you can say the local admin or the remote cloud user will issue a request. Okay, I am issuing this request. So simply I am writing, you can say local admin, or you can say remote cloud user. Anyone can request, है ना? issues a request. The very first step will be someone will issue some request, okay, via cloud interface, है ना, via cloud interface. So this was the cloud interface, okay, here. Now the next thing will be tool layer, huh? Whenever you will make a request, it will come to tool layer. Tool layer will do what? The cloud interface will receive request and validate your request format, okay. It will receive your request and validate the request format. Whatever the format you have sent, it will validate that, okay. The service manager, here you can say, it will interpret the request, okay. Service manager will interpret the request, okay. Under this tool layer, I am telling you these steps will be followed, okay. So firstly, this tool layer will be receive this request. It will validate the request, that whatever the request has been made, it is valid or not, that either we can do this or not, okay. Then it will validate the format also, in which format the request has been made, okay. Then after that, this service manager will interpret that request. Then again, the scheduler will determine the placement, okay. Here scheduler will determine the placement, okay. So it will determine the placement, basically means what? It will uh, search for the place where the request should be placed, okay. Now after the request has been placed, now which layer will come into picture? Core layer. The next we have core layer, na? So it will work. The core layer will do what? It will firstly authorize and authenticates and confirm the user is allowed to do that work or not, okay. So it will do what? It will authorize and authenticate and confirms that user is allowed or not, okay. So this is work of authorize and authentication, we have seen here, है ना? This is the manager who is responsible for this, okay. So it will first authorize and then authenticate whether user is allowed to perform this action or not. So basically you can also say here in a simple words that we are simply doing what? Identity check, okay. Identity plus you can say what? Permission check, okay. In simply we can say just these two terms here, okay. I have written this whole sentence, but we can justify in two words also, that it is this layer will do what? Firstly check the identity of the user, and then it will check the permission, that I whatever request the user is making, is this allowed or not, okay. Then next thing is what will be done, what? That information manager, okay. Information manager will check your current resource inventory, okay. As I have made a request to set up a virtual machine, so he'll do what? He'll check the inventory, Let's say on a medical shop, if someone has asked for some medicine, so he will do what? He will first check na that either this medicine is present or not. Okay, so this information manager will do the same. So I'm writing in short information manager. Okay, I am simply means information manager. Information manager will check the current resource inventory. Okay, then the next thing will be, if the resource is present, each and everything is good, then what will happen? Image manager will select or prepare your request to OS image. Okay, image manager will do what? It will select the requested OS image. Okay, here, as I have asked to create a virtual machine, so there must be, I have selected an option that either I want to have Windows virtual machine or Ubuntu virtual machine, CentOS virtual machine, which type of virtual machine I wanted. So it will select that OS image. Okay, because we are writing the steps according to this example. Okay, remember that whatever steps I am writing in respect of this example only. Okay, for each and every request there can be some other steps also. Okay, maybe some other manager will come into picture. Okay, now the next thing what will happen, it will create an OS image. Then the network manager will allocate IP and configuration, because if you are setting up virtual machine, then you have to set up network also. Then in that case, network manager will allocate IP, or simply okay, IP, or I'm simply writing network configuration. Okay, so whatever configuration is required for the network, it this will be managed by the network manager. Okay, then the next thing will be storage. Okay, storage is also required. So storage manager, as you have seen now, see here, each and everything is present: information management, accounting, authorization, image. So all of them are working in unity so as to process your request. Okay, so storage manager will do what? It will also check for required storage block, will allocate the required, you can say, I can say directly the block, or you can write storage also, है ना? Whatever you can say, whatever storage you have told here that I want this much storage, so it will allocate that. Okay, after that, the next thing will be accounting and auditing. Okay, each and everything has been done. Now the accounting and auditing logs will be made. Okay, accounting and auditing logs will be maintained here. Mm, okay, so this is all work that will be done by this core layer. Okay, it will first authorize, then the information manager will check the resource inventory, then image manager will select the requested OS image, network manager will allocate the IP and required network configuration, storage manager will allocate you whatever is the required storage you want, that will be allocated here, and then finally the accounting and auditing logs will be maintained. Okay, now the next thing will be driver layer. Okay, the next thing is driver layer. What will driver layer do? Driver layer will do what? It will have it has two layers na here, physical and cloud. Okay, physical infrastructure and cloud. So it will do what? The physical infrastructure driver will translate the core layers instruction into hypervisor level command. Okay, it will basically do what? It will translate the core layers instruction, whatever instruction has been passed from the core layer, it will be translated by this driver. Okay, into hypervisor level, so that VM can execute. Okay, now the next thing is we have physical infrastructure. Yes, physical infrastructure. There, what will happen? The hypervisor will create actual VM. Here, the hypervisor will create actual VM on physical server. Okay, here you can see we have physical in physical infrastructure, we have servers, we have networks, we have storage. So what it will do, whatever the translation it will receive, on the basis of that, this hypervisor will create actual virtual machine on this physical server. Okay, it will also create network switches. Okay, network switches that will configure this switches will configure virtual machine, है ना? This will configure virtual machine. Then we have storage also. So storage arrays, because in uh, in the storage layer, in the actual storage, the arrays are allocated. Okay, so here it will allocate arrays. Storage arrays will be allocated. Okay, as per the request, whatever request has been made, based on that the array will be allocated. Okay, so in this, now the last step we have what? It will confirm the flow back up through the driver, core or tool, to confirm, to let you know that we have actually created the virtual machine. Whatever request you have made has been served. Okay, so confirmation will flow back up through what? Through drivers, है ना? From drivers to core layer, then to we have this tools layer. Okay, so it will be flow from confirmation will be flow back up through driver to core to tools, so as to so that you can see that VM details. Okay, here actually what will happen, the VM details will be displayed. VM's details will be displayed on UI. Simply I am writing UI. So whatever you have asked, this was your request. This has been served in this. Okay. So now you have understood in infrastructure as a service how the work is done, how the request is served. Is this clear? Is there any problem in any step?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. In AWS also you will see the same sequence. Okay, same step, things are same things are followed. Okay, whenever you make any request, these steps are followed in a same manner. Okay, same manner means basically these in these layers. Okay, will the request will first come to tools, then it will go to core, then it will go to drivers, then it will be sent to physical infrastructure, and after when actual work or actual request will be served, then it will again flow back to drivers to cores and then to tools. Okay, this is strictly this flow is followed. Okay, it never skips any steps, it never skips any layers. Okay, and what is hypervisor? I have used a word hypervisor. Can you tell me what is hypervisor?
I'm use both sides.
Huh? Hypervisor means what do you understand by the term hypervisor? What is this? See, I am writing here the definition of hypervisor. Okay, hypervisor. What does this mean? This is simply, you can say, it is a software, or sometimes you can say hardware also. Okay, sometimes you can say hardware that lets you that lets multiple operating system runs on a single physical computer. Okay, so hypervisor is simply a software, or it can be sometimes a hardware also, that lets multiple OS or operating system runs on a single physical computer. Okay, hypervisor will create actual create your virtual computers. It will share the computer CPUs, memories, storage, network, each and everything. Okay, it will keep your VM isolated so that problem in one virtual machine usually don't affect other virtual machine. Okay, now it is clear what is hypervisor.
Yes, ma'am.
And we also have two types of hypervisor. We have type 1 hypervisor, we have type 2 hypervisor. Okay, so in type 1 we run directly on computers hardware. Okay, but in type 2 we run the OS as an application on top of some existing operating system. Okay, that's like VMware workstation. What we were using in class in this course, VMware workstation. This is uh,
Type 2.
type 2 hypervisor, that is also called hosted hypervisor. The another name for type 2 hypervisor is hosted hypervisor. Okay, and type 1, the another name for type 1 hypervisor is bare metal hypervisor. Okay, that runs directly on your computer hardware. Okay, and this is, you can say also, it is more faster and more secure. Okay, now it is clear what is hypervisor. Is there any problem?
No, ma'am.
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay. So let me tell you about the equivalent AWS services, whatever we have seen here, and after that we will bind up and we will continue on Tuesday. Okay, as I have told you, Monday there will be no class. Just wait a minute. Sorry.
Ma'am, you should take rest.
Yes.
You are viral fever, I think.
Mm, I don't have viral fever actually. I have cold, and that is allergic.
Viral code, ma'am.
Mm. Okay, I have told you about the uh, virtual machines, hypervisor. Okay, now let me tell you the compute. See, in this IES, we have simply three things here. Okay, IAS services. Okay, we have three things. The very first thing is compute, the next thing is network, uh, and the third is storage. Okay, these three things are basically the most common. Okay, and this compute resources basically means the processing power. Okay, we have in this compute resources, this means basically processing power. That means there we are talking about the CPU. Okay, we are talking about what? We are talking about CPU. That means every application needs a processing capacity to execute its code. Okay, and infrastructure as a service, uh, well, here you can say it will provide you the physical chips. Okay, that will actually execute your code. Okay, and the equivalent AWS service, the compute AWS service used is EC2. Okay, this is the name of service in AWS which is equivalently used. Okay, just like we are talking about CPU here na, in compute in IS service, So if you will talk about AWS, the same service will be available with the name of EC2. Okay, we also say it as EC2 server. The full name is EC2 server. Okay, this is, you can say, general VMs, general virtual machines. Okay, then we have another service, that is Lambda. Okay, which is a serverless compute in AWS. Serverless compute in AWS. Okay, then we have ECS or EKS, which is containers. ECS or EKS, these are example of containers. Okay, so but the main primarily we used EC2 server. Okay, I have named three things here, but primarily we use EC2 server. Okay, now the next thing is networking. Okay, so networking, you know, it is a set of rules where which basically determines how to compute storage devices, or you can say communicate with each with the outside world. Okay, this networking do what, it will set you some rules so that you can communicate from one resource to another resource. Okay, you can communicate from one host to another host, and you can also share the resources. Okay, so without networking, we have isolated VMs or storage would be useless. Without networking, all these things will be useless. Okay, so with network, you can only connect resources securely, you can route traffic efficiently. Okay, so there is a need of network. So the equivalent AWS service for the networking is what? VPC. It's called Amazon VPC. Okay, we have route tables, then internet gateways, VPC peering. Okay, so there are so many things. uh, Route 53. Okay, so these are services that is provided by Amazon. Okay, for the networking. Then we have storage. So you know what is storage. Then let me directly tell you about the AWS services. Here we have Amazon S3. Okay, which is most commonly used. Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, so this is used for storage. Then you can say object storage. Okay, then we have Amazon EBS. So I'm directly writing EBS, not Amazon. EBS is for block storage. It is for block storage. Okay, and we also have EFS. EFS. Okay, it is file storage. So these are services, S3, EBS, EFS. These services is provided by Amazon for storage. Huh? For storage. Okay, is this clear? So we are going to see all of these things, whatever services I am telling you, We'll see each and everything in upcoming lectures. One by one we will see. Okay, so do not worry that I am only naming here. We'll see EC2 in one whole class in detail. Okay, we'll see
Okay, ma'am.
EKS and ECS when we will do the pipelining section. Okay, we'll see VPC routing tables, each and everything in one whole class, one or two. It may take one class, it may take two class. It depends on the content. Okay, then storage, we'll see storage, how we can store the data in AWS S3 service. Okay, now we also have security groups here. Let me just name these things and after that we'll bind up. Security groups. Okay, so what is this security group? This is a virtual stateful firewall. Okay, which is directly attached to EC2 instance. Whenever you create, it will be directly attached to your EC2 instance and it will control inbound and outbound traffic. Means whatever you can request and whatever will be served from outside. Outbound outbound traffic. Okay, at this instance level which you have created, it will control all the traffic inbound and outbound. Means what you can request from this server and the whatever can be served to the server. Okay, so each and everything will be handled by this security groups. Okay, let's say if you want to access any let's say if you have any HTML file. Okay, so you simply want to access from this server, so this security group will decide from which port you will access. Okay, so you have to set up here the ports. Okay, then we have VPC. Okay, I have told you about this. VPC means simply virtual private cloud. Okay, this is like logically you can say private isolated or private section of AWS cloud where you can define your own IP address range, subnets, routing tables, gateways, each and everything you can define on your own. Okay, on your requirement. Then yes, I think this is enough. Okay, so is there any doubt in this lecture?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No, no.
so I think it is day 15. I don't know. Let me write this. And it was about IaaS. Okay, so thank you.